Alright, today we're going to make some mozzarella cheese with all store-bought ingredients. Everything you can get at your local grocery store for the most part. We had problems, we couldn't find junket tablets at Walmart, so I had to go to Kroger's, one of our local grocery stores, and they had it. And that would be these tablets. This is to help coagulate basically the milk in the final processes to get the cheese, the curds to separate from the whey protein, the liquid. Basically you will need the junket tablets, citric acid, non-iodine salt, some measuring devices, stainless steel pot, spoon that's perforated, basically we have homogenized grade A pasteurized. It cannot be ultra pasteurized, and that's basically, this is just straight, you can get this from any grocery store, just regular old milk. You start out, pull the milk out of the refrigerator, dissolve. Oh, you have to have one more thing, ingredient. You have to have non-chlorinated water. This is just distilled water. Got that from the grocery store also.
You couldn't see the salt in it.
Basically you take 1/4 cup of distilled water and mix in 1.5 teaspoons of the citric acid. You dissolve it so that you can't see the citric acid in there anymore. You mix that into the cool milk. We just turned it on and we're going to heat the milk to 90 degrees Fahrenheit. At that point we will be adding the junket tablets. You also need, where did the thermometer go? Hang on. Oh, right where I left it. Basically, cooking thermometer. We check it right now. We're looking at getting close to 90 degrees. And then we will add the junket tablets right at 90. It's important to not go very much past 90 degrees in the process of adding the junket tablets. And you can't start out obviously with a very high heat because the milk will scorch, especially on a pan like this. It's thin-walled. It reacts to the heat very quickly, so if you turn it up on high, you're going to scorch the milk, and that's not what we want to do. Stop it. Okay, our milk has reached the 90 degrees Fahrenheit. We have one half rennet tablet, the junket tablets, dissolved in another 1/4 cup of distilled water, and we're going to add that to the 90 degree milk. And we've already added the citric acid when we first started turning the heat on. We're going to stir this in for about a minute or so, making sure that this is dissolved. And we can go ahead and turn the heat off for a minute, because we're gonna, once we get this mixed in, we're gonna put the lid on and let it sit for about 10 minutes. By that time, the cheese curds should be coagulating on the top, and we will check it with a knife and cut it into sections. If we can't do that, then basically we will add another 1/4 tablet dissolved in water, a 1/4 rennet tablet, and go from there. With it being homogenized, you lose I think some of the fats. It basically breaks it down when they heat it up and all that. So we may or may not have to add the extra quarter tablet. That should be good. Basically, we're going to put the lid on. The heat's completely off, and we are going to let it sit for about 10 minutes covered. Okay, basically it's starting to clarify a little bit, but it being the homogenized milk, we're going to go ahead and continue to stir and add this that last quarter tablet, rennet tablet. As you can see, it's kind of congealed and coagulating together, but the curds just aren't quite separating, and it's still too milky, but it's definitely getting there. We're going to continue. We're right at about 110 degrees or so. We're going to stir this for another minute, and then we'll let it sit shortly, and the curds will come to the top, and we'll go ahead and heat it from there, and we'll be ready to strain here shortly. Okay, we've strained the whey from the cheese curds. Basically, you just go back and forth between the bowls is what we did. We got more whey in there. There's a little bit of curds left, but we've got the majority of it out. Another way to do it would be with cheesecloth, and you can pour the liquid through, and you're most likely going to catch most of the cheese the first time, and then you can wring the ball of cheese out to get the whey out of it, and it's probably a little bit less messy, but we're just using normal stuff that you have in the kitchen. And you can see it's still wet. We're basically, since we've strained it out, we are going to pour it back in the bowl. We're going to dump this little bit of water out, and then we're going to use the microwave to continue to heat it. We want to get an internal temperature of about 145 degrees, but we're going to slowly do this in the microwave in 20 to 30 second increments to heat it up. And we will knead it, basically, and fold it like you would bread, and we will work it back and forth as we heat it. So basically, as you can see, it's kind of like a compacted cottage cheese, but as we heat it, it will melt together, I guess you could say, to form one big cheese curd. And I'm going to set it for 2 minutes, but we're only going to do it 30 seconds at a time, and we'll get it out and get the liquid, the whey off of it, and continue to knead it and fold it together. Basically, once you get it up to that 145 degree mark, it's going to get kind of a shiny gloss to it that you'll notice on most cheese when you buy it at the store. You take it out of the package and look at it, it's kind of got a shine to it. Once you get to that point, you know you're done. You can shape it, put it in a small bowl to form a specific shape or whatever. You could make it into a block. You could put it in a little, and now you can see the liquid started to separate. And basically we're going to try and drain this off. We can use our hands. And then we're going to try and squeeze. So you push on that, and more of the whey comes out. And the whey is basically like what protein drinks are made out of. It's the leftover proteins. So you can feed this to animals, the whey. You can feed it to pigs, chickens, It would be basically a weight gainer for your animals. We've got probably enough out of that. We will try to squeeze some of this out. We'll make it into a ball. Yeah, let's get lots of it out. Rosie, go on. Our dog's trying to get some cheese. Well, Rosie Potamus, you're not getting no cheese or no pisha up here. No pisha for you. Okay, we got that ball going. We'll set that back in there. And our kids are going wild. They're supposed to be asleep. It's about 10 minutes past their bedtime, but the youngest one, who's not in school yet, is screaming like a wild banshee. And we've got another, I'm going to put those together and make one larger one. It's still kind of not quite all completely sticking together. I think we're going to have Mom go yell at the kids since they're interfering with my cooking show. And we have a strainer somewhere. Where did it go? Oh, here it is. And basically, since we're down to smaller amounts of liquid, we can use this strainer and catch anything off. And we'll just add it back to the cheese ball. Well, it's not really catching too much. We'll probably just go ahead and let that go. That's not that big a deal. It's not really saving anything. The main thing is just to get the liquid out at this point. And we'll get it slowly heated up. Okay, we're going to go back for another round of the microwave. Yes, it's a little messy. About another 30 seconds, 40 seconds. Usually you don't want to go much more than 45 seconds at a time because you'll get it too hot and you'll have issues at that point. At this point, it's going to basically, each time it's going to stick together a little bit better. We'll form a better ball each time we heat it until we get to that 140 degree mark or so. Strain this water off and then push that water out. Or actually, it's not water completely, it's the whey. And like I said, you can make protein drinks out of this, feed it to animals. It's definitely a good weight gainer for animals. Feed it chickens, pigs, goats. But that's definitely, you can tell it's starting to get, I don't know that it's quite 145 degrees, but it's definitely getting hot. You might want to use gloves. I'm okay at this point. We'll check the temperature once we squeeze some more of this water out, and you can feel it. Anybody that's ever had string cheese, you kind of know the consistency of what that feels like, and this is starting to get to that point. It's getting drier too. We're getting that whey out of there. And as you can see, now it's not crumbling anymore. It's actually turning into cheese. And we're going to start folding it now that it's sticking together. And basically what I'm going to do now is squeeze. I'm taking and squeezing it under and folding it under. And it's all, you can almost see the shine it's getting to it. We're going to check the temperature here real quick and see if we've gotten close. It feels pretty warm, but I'm not quite sure that it's at 145. But at either way, it's doing what it's supposed to. The 145 is just kind of an ideal temperature. It looks like we're up to about 120, but we still got some moisture in there, so we're going to go ahead and drain, squeeze. You can still hear a little bit coming out, but once we heat it, this last time should pretty much do it as far as getting the moisture out of it. We'll have close to a finished product. We can add a little bit of salt to it at that point and refrigerate it. And it's pretty much, as soon as it's cooled, it is ready to eat, or you can wait a couple days. It'll get a little bit more flavor as it goes. But soft cheeses, most of those are edible within a day, or even right after. You could eat it warm if you chose to, I guess. But that's about it.